Elevate your hatching egg shipping business with Beyond the Egg. Discover the art of premium packaging, master the details of shipping, and create an unforgettable experience for your customers. Enhance your reputation, build lasting trust, and set your business apart as the gold standard. Visit BeyondTheEgg.com to begin your journey to excellence.
Hello, poultry nerds. How are y'all doing today? We are here for an exciting conversation about light. We did a podcast a little bit back about the molt and talked about what all goes on during that time of a bird's life. So now we're going to talk about lighting and how the sun coming up and going down, the length of the day. We're going to talk about how all that affects reproduction, egg laying, what your birds are doing, all that good stuff on this episode. How you doing, Jennifer?
I'm good. Like, I just had a flashback to my childhood. Do you remember that commercial that said, "The more you know"? And it was like a star or something. Can't remember what that was for, but
No, and it really makes me want to just stop and look it up because that's how my brain works, but I'm not going to. But it is true. The more you know, the more informed decisions you can make, and it may help. I was having a conversation with somebody earlier today and blurted out something because sometimes I do that. And I don't think, I just speak. And it also makes sense of what we're talking about. Headaches are expensive and peace of mind is worth it. So we'll talk about some of the headaches that you encounter this time of year and all that good stuff.
I know that we typically try to stay away from dating our recordings so that if you're listening to it like in the future, it won't matter what today's weather is. But in this episode, I think it's relevant that we say this is June 30th, right after the summer solstice. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, I get that word out.
So that's the longest day of the year. And the shortest day is somewhere around Christmas. So is it like the 27th or something like that?
Yeah, it's right before New Year's. I'm not 100% sure exactly what day.
Yeah. And the reason why that is important, because in the life of a chicken, their instinct is to procreate. And so the days getting longer, they start laying eggs, depending on where you are, but sometime in the spring, March, April. Then the days are getting longer. They get their babies out, they get them grown up, and then it's time to kind of replenish their bodies, prepare for winter, fall, molt. So they don't lay as well. My chickens are not laying well at all. And we're talking about older birds. We're not talking about 6-month-old birds here.
Yeah, because they're not, 6-month-old birds not even thinking about molting.
No, we're talking about like 18-month-old birds, year-old birds, something like that. But anyway, so now we've had the summer solstice last Saturday, I think it was. And now the days are starting to get shorter. So the birds are going to stop laying as well and start foraging more. You're going to see more birds going into the molt and replenishing their bodies and getting prepared for winter, which I know is hard to imagine when it's 188 degrees outside and 99% humidity. But that's what their bodies are telling them to do.
But for us, I can go put a jacket on and put some insulated pants on and I'm prepared. It takes them a hot minute to grow those feathers.
It does. Was it 90 days or so from start to finish?
It depends a lot on the genetics of the bird, the breed, pretty heavily on the nutrition, but yeah, it takes a while.
Yep. And you want it done before winter is here. Otherwise, you're going to be out there putting insulated boots and coats on your little chickens.
Those will be the ones that have a burn barrel or one of those wood burning stoves out in their chicken run because their birds are naked.
So we're going to talk about some options that you have in relation to this light. So let's start with chickens. And my preference this time of year is to allow them a more natural slowdown and go into the molt gracefully and recover at their leisure. I don't try to force a molt and don't try to rush it or anything. I just try to provide supportive care, I guess. I'll pull the males out so they're not aggravating the hens. You don't want to handle the birds because they're getting aggravated at every little thing. And their bodies are getting ready to do this thing. And as the days get shorter, it'll happen quicker. And then at the end in the fall and early winter, and I know it's hard to think about it like this, but if the shortest day is in December and I want chicks in January, February, then I need to start lengthening their days in November, December. So I'm just changing the natural way of things just ever so slightly by a month or so is all I'm doing. So this time of year, I'm letting them do their natural thing, but then in say December 1st, around and thereabouts, I'll start adding light in to start lengthening their days so I can get those eggs out sooner so I can get chicks faster on the ground. What do you
Yeah,
think?
because the orders, they get backed up very fast.
Yeah. Now,
once
Quail.
hatching season's here, like first week or two, you're like, oh, this ain't gonna be bad this year. I'm good. Then another week or two hits, and you're putting your phone on silent because the daggum notifications keep coming in, and then you're like, I gotta turn off ordering on my page. I gotta put it out of stock or something because I may not have eggs. I'm so far backed up.
Yes.
So that's a real thing.
So on the quail, now they're inside my barn. I do run them in cages inside my barn. They have a consistent environment, consistent light. It comes on at 5:30. I don't change it with the time change, so you'll have to bear with me there a little bit.
Maybe off by an hour or half a year.
Somewhere around 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and it goes off between 8 and 9 o'clock at night. Just depends on what time of the year it is, but it's every day. And then I can open the doors, let the natural light in, let the air flow through. I have exhaust fans. They've kind of got their own little housing project going on out there. So they're comfortable.
That's like a neighborhood. You got more than a couple houses out there. You got a small neighborhood in your barn.
I told David I needed more high rises out there coming into the fall. He just looked at me.
Somebody asked me the other day, how many quail do you have? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean? I said, I have this many stacked. I'm not really sure if all of them are full or not. I go through a little over a ton, almost 2 tons of feed a month, but I don't know how many.
So do you have lights in your barn?
So I have lights in my quail barn. I also have lights outside in my breeding pens, mainly because birds have less stress, like people, when they have consistency. So my birds, once they get to that time, they wake up every day to get 14 hours of daylight and still go to bed at a natural in a natural way. That's what time they wake up until I start seeing feathers drop. Now, when I start seeing feathers drop this time of year, 2 days ago, in fact, I cut my lights off on all my breeding pens. Now, I still have the fans on, and they'll run on the same timer because obviously want the fans on during the day and whatever. But so I stop the lighting when the molt starts, and I let the molt go. And I talked about this in that molting podcast episode, but I'll let it start until the molt is almost like contagious, like fowl pox. One starts it, and within a week or so, you're seeing some feathers everywhere. And then I'll start feeding. So once it starts, I'll cut the lights off. And then after about a week, when everybody's doing it, at this point, just a little, then I'll feed a molt ration to them that is a lot lower in protein, but it's really high in fiber. And it also is low in methionine, but I don't want to give their feathers a whole lot of amino acids right now. I want them to fall out. So I'll do that. And then I will go back to feeding them what I was before, which is really high in those vitamins. So the last part of it that pushes the feathers out. But before I turn my lights back on, I wait until my birds are fully feathered. Like fully feathered, looks normal, everything's good. And then I will find out what time the sun comes up, and I'll start my lights at that same time, and I will decrease by 30 minutes. Like I'll do 30 minutes a week until I get to the point to where I'm at a 14-hour day with lights on. And once the light goes off, they probably have another hour or so of daylight.
Decrease, you mean back it up in the morning?
Yeah, like right now, I think my lights come on at 3. Before I unplugged them, they were coming on at 3:30 a.m. because I want them to have that consistent 12-hour day. And then for the next 4 hours, I want it to end like normal. If your lights just go out and your birds aren't on the roost, they're like, what the crap's going on? Where am I at? And you'll hear all rustling and tussling, and they'll hit their heads flying up and this, that, and the other, and it stresses them out. That screws with the egg production. It screws with the laying frequency. Just like they're really finicky. If they have any kind of exterior stress, they're not laying.
We'll be right back.
Looking to rock some seriously comfy gear? If you love chickens and you're all about that fun style, then Chicken Box has got the perfect t-shirts for you. From quirky designs to classic looks, their shirts are as comfy as us chicken tenders deserve. They even have a subscription service so your coop doesn't get bored. Head over to PoultryNerdsPodcast.com and click on Chicken Box to get your comfy shirts and support the podcast.
So when you turn them back on, are we talking some around between Halloween and Thanksgiving?
September-ish.
But you back them up. You're nice to your birds and you back them up nicely, 30 minutes at a time.
Yeah, 30 minutes a week is like nothing. They don't notice it. So that starts the consistency of a wake up, and adding the supplemental light as stress-free as possible.
I'm so mean to my chickens. So I use rope lighting. We're going to talk about the different kinds of lighting we use. But we call them the condos, and it's 9 pens on my right lean-to of my barn. And I have LED rope lights in there on a cheapo Christmas timer. And I don't back them up 30 minutes at a time. If you're going in those pens, that's because I need you to start laying eggs, and it just comes on at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's just time change, like flying from here to China.
Oh, now the timers that I use, they're like the $9.99 for 2 of them on Amazon.
Exactly, the cheap
Which-
Christmas timers.
I have more money in my ventilation, in my watering systems being automated and all that crap. And it's actually bad because I can monitor temperatures, all that other crap, Wi-Fi through an app on my phone, but I can't adjust the lights when the power goes out. And I don't think about my lights. And like I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the morning to go to the restroom. I'm like, why the crap are the lights on? I'm going back to bed. And then I'll go check it later and the timer's 9 hours off.
Because the electricity went off.
Like, I am going to jack with y'all today, but I'm going to set this back to the right time.
I have to laugh because I do the exact same thing if I get up in the middle of the night and I look out at the barn through the window and all the lights are on. They're on. That means it's after 3 o'clock, but still it's dark, so it's still time for me to go back to bed.
Yeah, because you're like, I don't think it is after 3.
Or if they're on inside the barn, I'm like, did I go to bed early or are those jacked up out there? I'll have to go look at them and see.
Do I need to get me another one of those $5? Did that timer mess up?
I have discovered that the spiders will go inside of them and do what they do and jack them up that way.
Oh, yeah. Bugs love electronics.
Yes. So let's talk about the different kind of lights that we use, and then we'll go to the babies. But in my breeder pens, the condos, and the only reason I call them condos is because it's on the pond side of the barn.
Don't even lie. You call them condos because they are compared to other people's runs. Y'all, people have a 10 by 20 run and they think they're doing something good. And they've got 6-7 feet per bird, this, that, and the other. Her freaking condos.
No, these are up on the lean-to. They're like 5 by 8 or something.
Okay, you can still fit a twin-size bed in a bird where you got in a condo where you have 2 or 3 birds. They ain't stressing with their lakeside or pondside view.
Yeah, I have a lot of birds. Anyway, so I bought 100. So my barn's 50 feet long. I bought 100 feet of LED exterior rope lighting, the daylight version of LED. And we went down and then came back up. So they get 2 strands per condo. And it plugs into a nappy old extension cord I found somewhere with wires hanging out of it. That goes through the window inside the barn and plugged into a $5 Christmas timer.
I can see it now. Hey, David, do we have any electrical tape? Maybe. Oh, here's some duct tape. I'll use that.
Yeah. Inside the barn for the quail, I have bought LED shop lights. They're like strip lights, maybe an inch wide, 1.5 wide at the most, but they're 8 feet long. And you can get like a bundle of 10 of them for, I don't know, $100 or something.
I was going to say, I think when I ordered mine, they were around $100.
Yeah. And they connect. You can chain them together. So I just have them propped up on top of different things. They don't get hot, or at least really hot. And so I just have them propped up on the pens and stuff in there, and they are in a $5 Christmas timer. And I think I've got 3 sets of those, because you're only supposed to chain them, link them, so many of them together.
I was going to say, I think you're only supposed to do 3 or 4, but I can tell you 6 words.
So they're over there, and as long as the quail can see what they're doing, see their food and everything, the quail are pretty happy.
Yeah, one of the biggest misconceptions about light is that they need a lot. And really and truly, no, they don't. They need about the equivalent of an overcast day.
Yeah, yeah. Now, on occasion, I do turn the big LED lights on, like the built-in barn lights during the day. And on occasion,
One of your birds will be like, my car is my.
yeah, there's been times like where a thunderstorm has rolled up or something, and it's like, I'm not going back out there to shut those lights off in this thunderstorm. They slept with the lights on, and in the morning, their little eyes were.
You're just trying to keep them honest. You got to throw them. Hey, they throw you a curveball every once in a while. So I feel like it's totally fair for me to throw mine a curveball.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
So you have these, like, what kind of lights do you have in your outside pens? They sell them? No.
They're
fancy lights.
No. I have Philips LED, no flicker LEDs. So I get, maybe you could say that's fancy. But so Quail, they're already paranoid, stressed out, freaking psychos because their metabolism runs 1,000,000 miles an hour and they're doing whatever. But chickens are more laid back. They're the more relaxed of the poultry world. The turkeys are the more inquisitive. But so I have those out there because the flicker rate, if you can look through the camera on your phone and you see a flicker, your birds can see it with the naked eye. And that's another thing that causes stress. So
yeah, I'm looking at my LED light above me right now. I do not see a flicker through my phone.
Well, it's probably because you have quality LED lights.
I doubt it.
But so I use those and I have just extension cords running around and I have those in one of those sockets that you plug in and plug it in. Like you'll screw the light into it and then plug it in the wall. I have it in that. Totally not outdoor rated at all. But a lot of my breeding pens are either the retriever dog kennels from Tractor Supply. So they have that A-frame type roof. So I have it up under there. Of course, zip tied to the pipe because I ain't mountain jack. And on my fly pens that I use for breeding, they're tucked up under the roof. It doesn't, okay, in 3 years, I've had some of them for 2, some of them for 3, but I have never once had a tripped breaker from horizontal rain hitting it, which is shocking, but no pun intended.
Okay, so let's talk about light in the brooder rooms for the young babies. What do you do in there?
I have some very blue, like party light blue LEDs. And that is because the blue spectrum, like when you look at the sun spectrum, the colors that are richer in the blues promote growth and all that kind of stuff, which is what you want a chick to do. So I use that. And I will say outside, I do have a couple of plant grow lights, and I have them for the red spectrum because that more promotes egg production. And some of my pens are heavily shaded. So that's why I have that down there just to make sure, because standard poultry don't like to lay a whole lot anyway. So they need all the help they can get.
So you said red helps with the egg laying? I didn't know that.
But let me tell you this also. When you're using those specific hues to technically manipulate what they're doing or promote it or whatever, it's very important that you stay at a low brightness, because intensity can actually make them violent. There's, especially with quail, not as much with chickens, but I had somebody that was new to quail, but they were having problems with aggression, and they had 6,500K lights, and the place was lit up like Yankee Stadium, and their birds were killing each other. And I was like, cut off about 3/4 of your lights, see what happens. And within a couple of days, the problem went away.
I'm sure you're sitting there wondering why I've got the giggles, but I just got like this picture in my head of setting the mood with a lampshade and draping the red scarf over it.
Heck yeah.
You can see it set the mood for the egg laying, right?
That's right.
So it's all about like romantic lighting. That would be about the right intensity. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because
All serious and I'm giggling.
promote that. That's what they're doing. If you want it to be fertile anyway, it's all it is. You got to set the mood.
Okay, so let's go back inside for just a minute. So what is it about the blue light? Because I don't run colored light. My lights are on or off. What's the blue light?
So with the blue light, I use some, I want to say they're 4 watts. Like, they're not bright at all. They're probably about as bright as, they're a little bit bigger than a night light, but not a lot. But like the rope lights I had one person want me to come check their place out, and they're like, oh, I have these lights. Let's see if we can use them. And they were pretty right at perfect on the intensity. And it was a set of rope lights that they had gotten to put around their camper. Because a lot of people that use campers and campgrounds will put like a border around their camper of lights, mainly so you don't walk into it at nighttime. So and they'd have those in blue.
And so chicks can see the blue color?
Unless they're blind.
I never asked for one what color they could see.
I don't speak chick, but the science behind it. So there's a company in the commercial realm of poultry called Highline, and they have spent probably several million on different researches. And when I was studying, like, a lot of documentation that I found actually referenced some of their studies, and like they've done really long tests where birds, they break it down to the actual frequency of light that stimulates the most efficient amount of growth, because for them, they want to hatch that chick and get it to start laying eggs as fast as possible. So I think at one point it even said, use lighting like this for this many days and then switch to this. I was like, yeah, okay, that's intense.
I know you did an article about it a while back, so let's send me a copy of that and we'll post it to the Poultry Nerds website so people can read it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it breaks down the Kelvin, the candela brightness, like 2,700K is what you really want to be at for brightness, and it breaks down all that crap.
Well, yeah, my birds get on or off. So I see people posting pictures of their breeders and they use those red reptile lights. So does the red hurt the chicks? No.
It doesn't hurt them. It just doesn't speed up the process, which is one of the questions why I have wondered. I never actually asked somebody that makes those heat lamps, but I've always wondered if blue produce, or if the blue spectrum kicks off growth more, wouldn't you want to make the heat lamp put off a blue light instead of a red?
I think those are made for reptiles, actually. And I don't know anything about reptiles, but I bet it has something to do with that.
So I have a buddy of mine that was a reptile breeder. He quit after about 20 something years. They're a lot different. They're a whole different ballgame.
I bet it has something to do with that.
Probably.
Yeah. Have we covered just about everything?
As far as I can think of, yeah.
The only other thing that I can think of, which people will have a fit about, is not lighting your birds in the wintertime. Let them be natural and everything. And I'm all for it. Let your birds be natural.
Hey,
If that's
you do
what you
you.
want. Yes. If it's your farm, your rules, you can do what you want to. I just have a problem preaching that and going to the store and buying eggs. Because if you're buying store-bought eggs, those birds are lit at 365 days a year.
If you're buying store-bought eggs, even the free-range ones, because they put lights in those mobile coops.
Yep.
That bird's been light. If you buy like the normal, regular old white, grade A large eggs, most of those birds have never even seen outside unless they got a ride from their brooder to the layer house.
Yep. So just be mindful of that. If you're anti-lighting a bird, then store-bought eggs are going to be lit at.
I've published an article about it, man. I got people telling me how cruel I was for lighting up my birds. I'm like, the sun does it every day.
So since we have divulged that the timeline that this was recorded, which was relevant, I will say this, that egg harvest season will be coming to an end unless you just have a whole bunch of new layers. Then they'll lay for another few months. Still, put up your egg for fall and winter use for yourself. You're raising these birds so you have their eggs. So save them. You can freeze them, water glass them. I think there's a way to dehydrate them, but I've never done that. But I have done the other. And I'm just simply taking all of my clean eggs and putting them in my garage fridge. I'm dating them, the cartons, and putting them in the garage fridge. And we're just currently eating the dirty eggs. I've got one.
They're good for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
If you put them in the fridge.
And then if all else fails, we'll just eat quail eggs.
They don't care what time of the year it is. Funny story about those. I have Bob Whites in an outside grow cage. And they were on the far side of the barn. And I wanted them more on my bedroom side of the house because I like to listen to them. So I moved them. And their cage was dirty or whatever. So I had the hose pipe over there refilling waters. And it's a hot day. So I spray the cage down, get any clumps that are attached to the floor off. The birds like they were out in the rain, the whole 9 yards. So you would think that stresses them out. The very next day I go out there and there's a crap ton of eggs in the rollout trays.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Seriously thought about hatching.
We're not going to say you can't.
That's right.
Hatching addiction. That's why we're here, to feed each other's addiction and feed y'all's addiction to birds.
Far be it from me to be an enabler.
All right. We will be back next week.
Yep. Be sure to give us a like, a follow, click that 5-star if you love us. Leave us a review. Send us an email at info@poultrynerds.com. I think we have it disabled now on our StreamYard page where you can't leave us a comment there. That's really a stupid feature because we can't reply to you. So I think we've got that turned off where you can't do it now. Shoot us an email. We love helping people out. And hey, look, you may ask us a question that becomes a show topic.
There you go. Bye.
Thank you for joining us this week. Before you go, be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you can receive new episodes right when they are released. And they're released every week. Feel free to email us at poultrynerds@gmail.com to share your thoughts about the show. Until next time, poultry pals, keep clucking, keep learning, and keep it exciting. This is Carey signing off from Poultry Nerds. Feathers up, everyone.